What's going on, everyone? Hope you're having a great day. I wanted to do a quick video talking about digestion and eating. It's kind of like an itemized list I wanted to give you and just rules to go by it, and personally things that I've been trying to do. Now this idea was set off to me because I was listening to some audiobooks, and I've read a few articles recently that kind of made me think maybe I should give some things a try. One of them I actually mentioned in a previous video, and that was an audiobook video. I'll put the link in the description below. And it was an audiobook by Deepak Chopra, and he talks about alkaline foods and acidity in the body and whatnot. So that kind of expanded my thoughts on this particular topic. I also had an experience recently that was kind of outside of the norm for me, and I'll tell you about that as I get into this. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Firstly, so this list is probably going to be about 5 or 6 things. I always do lists. I don't know why. It just makes things easy, nice and concise for you to follow. I don't know. It makes it easy for me. So firstly, and this actually comes from a few different books, and it's just personally I think it's a great way to live, and that's always consider what you're eating. Now that really can be always consider what you're doing if you want to expand that and really stay focused in the task at hand. But being specific, always consider what you're eating. And then that really means consider the source, so where the food has come from and its journey to you. So consider the process it went through in either being made, or if it's a meat, how it was processed or whatever. Consider all of that and how it's come to you. So that's the first rule, and really that just means don't just open up something and just start stuffing your face with it. Like, consider what you're eating, consider what it is, what it's comprised of, its material elements, and how that's being ingested. So that's number one, that's rule number one. Rule number two is always sit down when you're eating, preferably at a table. Personally, me and my girlfriend, we sit down for dinner every single night, and we've been doing that for, I don't know, like 8 or 9 years now. I really think it's important to sit down to eat your meals. So don't try to multitask, because when you start to multitask, let's say you want to watch TV while you're eating, I mean, that's okay now and then, but that conflicts with rule number one, which is consider what you're eating. How can you consider what you're eating when you're not really focused on it, when you're not paying attention to it, when you don't know what you're ingesting, you're watching a TV show or you're driving? That's a big one. Sometimes I'll grab a quick bite to eat and I'll be driving while I eat, but I'm not really following the principles that way, right? I'm just stuffing my face just to get those calories and those things in me, but I'm not following that first rule. I'm not considering what I'm eating. So the first one, consider what you're eating. Second one, sit down, because that allows you to consider what you're eating. Otherwise you're just distracted, you're not paying attention. You're not benefiting from the nutrients of that food as best you could because it's not being considered. Now that's an opinion thing, but personally I think there's some validity to it, so give that a try. Consider what you're eating, sit down when you're doing it. Don't walk around, don't jog, don't run, don't do anything like that. Sit. Number 3, don't stuff your face. Now this kind of goes with really goes with rule number 1 as well, but don't stuff your face. So take a bite of something, chew it, give it an adequate amount of chews, and don't swallow, just break it down properly. Break it down in your mouth, and that's going to help you with the digestion. So when you're chewing something, take a bite of it, chew it, let it settle, and then move on, take another bite of something. So you can take a bite of the same thing, or you can take a bite of something entirely different. Now here's an expansion on this rule, the rule number 3, and that is try not to have 2 different types of food in your mouth at the same time. Now this one was actually something that Deepak Chopra set off the idea for me, and I was thinking wow, that's kind of tricky. I mean, what if sometimes I like to eat something like an apple pie and ice cream, and I want to kind of bring them together because that's just deliciousness. Now there are some exceptions to the rule, and again, if you're following rule number 1 and you are considering what you're eating, you're following rule number 2, you're sitting down, you're focused, I don't see that big of an issue if you're having 2 or 3 different types of food in your mouth at the same time. But as a general rule, try to separate the food and eat it. Eat the one type of food, take a bite, let that get all mushed up and swallow, and then take another bite of a different type of food. So try not to clash different types of food in your mouth. Now this also goes with your digestion, because when you're digesting things, you're going to have multiple things in your stomach. So I understand the reason for trying to do this, because you don't want certain foods to clash. Like, you don't want to go and eat a bag of chips and then you finish the bag of chips, and then you go have like half a jug of chocolate milk or something like that. Like once that gets in your stomach, there's going to be some butting heads between those two foods, and it's not going to settle well with you. It's not going to sit well with you. You're probably not going to feel too great. So that's sort of what that is based on, and I can see some validity to that as well. So that's number 3, and we're going to move on to number 4, which is allow yourself to digest your first meal before moving on to your next one. Now that kind of goes with what I just said a moment ago, when food is clashing in your stomach. Like you don't want that happening. So you want to digest your first meal and then move on to the next. I talked about this with regards to intermittent fasting, and it's very important because when you are fasting and you're eating during your eating window, you don't want to like stuff yourself. You don't want to like eat your first meal and you think, oh my god, I have a 4-hour eating window. You know, you're in your first half hour, and you're like, shit, I'm gonna run out of time, whatever, and then you like stuff your face again. By the time you reach like 2.5 hours, you're like, shit, I still have time left, but I'm completely full, and I don't feel that good. So you're not going to be digesting and absorbing the nutrients properly when you're doing that. That's first of all. And second of all, you're going to just feel like shit. You're not going to feel very good. Especially when you're fasting, this is something to consider, because you could like nullify the effects and benefits of fasting by stuffing your face with all sorts of different types of food, and then you won't be digesting it properly. You're going to end up creating fats for yourself. You just won't be doing the process correctly. So, that's number 4. Allow yourself to, was it number 4? Yeah. Allow yourself to digest before consuming your next meal. So try to, and you'll feel it. Like put your hand on your stomach, take a few deep breaths, and you'll know for sure if your food is digested or not. Like if you still feel like, oh, not quite yet, then just wait a little bit longer, like 15, 20 minutes, whatever it takes until you feel clear and ready to eat again. There's actually another pretty good quote that I like from Mike Dolce, the Dolce diet, and he says, eat until you're satisfied, not until you're full. That sums it up. So eat till you're satisfied, your first meal, let that digest, then move on to your next meal, and you'll never really reach that point of being completely full, which is perfectly fine. If you want, aim for that completely full feeling on your last meal, and then stop eating. Like you're done. You're full, you're done. That's it. And then let yourself digest everything you've eaten and consumed, and you'll feel great, waking up or on your next fasting, or during your next fast. So that was number 4, and number 5, we have eat more alkaline foods and less acidic foods. Now, alkaline foods would be like vegetables, really, and like fruits. So I mean, apples, pears, bananas, all that stuff. Really, it's like the basic, organic, natural things you can eat are the ones that are going to be alkaline. If you're going to go towards like acidic foods, you're talking like bags of chips, pop. Anything that's really manufactured, any sort of like garbage that's manufactured is going to be acidic, and you kind of want to stay away from that stuff. And we're kind of going back to one of my initial points of this video, which is when you have something that's like acidic and something that's alkaline, and you're both trying to digest it in your stomach, again, you're going to have that issue. So try to maintain some balance there. Even if you want, go out and grab some of those like cheap alkalinity testers or whatever. Like they're little tiny strips, and you kind of pee on them, and then they tell you how alkaline or acidic your body is. And then you can at least stay on top of things like that, and then you can know, wow, I'm like optimally eating and optimally absorbing and digesting foods because I'm staying more alkaline than acidic, which is going to be more beneficial to you. So that was number 5, and finally I want to close it off with number 6, and I've said this before, and I've said it like in so many friggin' videos. You want to drink tons and tons and tons of water. So whatever you're doing, drink water all day long. Like, don't go for the pops, don't go for the espressos, or don't go for like the fruit drinks, or like, I don't know what those things are. You squirt them into the water and they give you flavor. I see a lot of people commenting like, oh, can I drink this? Can I drink this? Can I drink this? It's like, just freaking drink water. Keep it simple, drink water, it's the best thing for you. Your body's comprised primarily of water. It's like 70% plus of water. So you want to drink what you're comprised of. It only makes sense, and you don't want to put any additives or crap into it. So drink tons of water. The general rule is, 8 to 10 cups a day. I like to go more. Go for shoot for 15 cups a day. Shoot for even more than that. Shoot for 20 cups a day if you want a gold star. That's the way I like to put it. So best of luck with all this. Let me know what you think about this list. Comment down below. Comment down below if you're going to try it yourself. I've personally been doing it. And that experience that I had recently was actually sort of set me off to doing this video, because I sometimes will try to fill in some calories at the end of the day. Some bodybuilders or powerlifters, there's fancy terms for this. They call it carb backloading and all this other stuff. really it's just like stuffing your face. That's basically what it comes down to. So I was doing one of those stuff my face days to try and make up some calories, and I was causing this like clash of foods, and I didn't quite realize it. I ended up waking up in the middle of the night like projectile vomiting, which I haven't done in, I don't know, years and years and years and years. So that sort of set me off to this idea, and it's something that hasn't happened since. It was only the one night, but you know what? That's all it needs to be in order for the correction to take place. So I wanted to give you this information so you don't end up projectile vomiting at 3 a.m. and wish you the best of luck with it. So let me know what you do and comment down below if you are going to try this. Share it with your friends if you think it's going to help them. Otherwise, I'll see you again in the next video. Take it easy.